other and push each other to be better. Because that's it. When you look at the tandems in the league, or when you look at number ones and number twos in the league, you have both of them have to be pushing each other. For example, Connor Hellebuck, who won the Vezina this year, one of the things he talked about in his interviews after he won it was the fact that you have Laurent Brossoit, his backup, who pushed him every single time to be better, and vice versa for Brossoit to be better, because Hellebuck's just that damn good. So you have to have that good niche between the two there. So if Rittich knows what's good for him, it seems like he's a good team player and he's well liked in the room, then he'll be a good number two for Calgary going forward. But as of right now, Aaron Vickers just tweeted out that Bob McKenzie said on TSN, Markstrom to the Flames is not 100% done yet. So there still might be some work left to be done here, but I mean, I'd take close to 100% as of right now as a good sign.
Yeah, so for those on YouTube, we just started here. Welcome on YouTube. Devin, Sean, Kevin here. Follow us on Twitter, podcast_hockey. Subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We are just breaking down everything that has happened in free agency. We do know for sure Cam Talbot has signed with the Wild. We do know for sure Braden Holtby has signed on with the Vancouver Canucks, and it is looking like not 100% as Aaron Vickers and Devin has just mentioned, that Jacob Markstrom is signing with the Flames. But that's basically where we are at. So now, sorry, I'll let Sean now talk. The question that we were discussing, though, is what this does to Rittich. Where did Sean go?
Sean's still here.
When they brought in Talbot last year and they played Talbot in the playoffs, they weren't sold on Rittich. So, like, as good as he's played at times, he's never proven that he can carry the load. So they have to bring in someone to improve the goaltending. I don't think, like, if you're thinking what is this happening to Rittich, it's like, what has Rittich done for himself that's helped that's made the Flames think that he's an actual number one starter? He hasn't done anything. So they did need to go out and find at least a tandem player, a goalie to tandem with, if not a full-blown starter. He's only under contract for 1 more year. So there's not the they don't have the confidence that he can take that next step at this point.
That's okay. Fair enough. But there's still my two concerns over, like, I'm not saying that Markstrom's a bad, please don't get me wrong. Markstrom's not a bad goaltender, but I still want to see what that deal is. And I still want to see from the Flames perspective if he is durable enough. Those are my two big questions. And I want to, and that obviously what the contract is. And I think that this is going to be an overpay. I think probably year 5 or year 6, there's going to be Flame fans that are not going to be happy about this. But if this gets the Flames moving forward, they'll be happy now. But this might be a contract that handcuffs them a little bit later.
Yeah, it has that possibility, but it depends when your window is. And as of right now, it seems like Tree Living is trying to push to make us a contender every year, and having that number one goalie really helps us. Like you said, it's been since Mickey Kiprusoff that the Calgary Flames have had that number one and reliable year in and year out. And this will definitely solidify that position. And it's being a Flames fan, I love the idea of it. And anytime you do a free agent signing, if you're signing more than 3 to 4 years, the potential is that those last couple of years are going to be potentially bad for the team. So that's a risk in signing anybody on free agency.
By the way, if I do have a underdog or dark horse that's going to get in on Markstrom that may prevent this, watch out for Carolina.
Once again, I don't know. Carolina's a fit as of right now. They both have Reimer and Mrazek, one year left. for both of them at just over $3 million. So they would have to find another fit for one of those two goalies, either that or potentially, because there's one more buyout window available once the RFAs who go to arbitration are signed, or just before that. So potentially they could buy out Reimer or Mrazek, and my guess if they were going to do that would be Reimer, but they need to figure something out first before they can go sign Markstrom. And just another heads up here, Kev, Henrik Lundqvist to Washington.
That has officially happened.
Yeah.
The only thing with that second buyout window is you need to have someone who's gone to arbitration and you've accepted their to be able to buy someone out in that window. They can't be a team that doesn't have anyone in arbitration to buy someone out. So if that's the case, I don't know what I think the only player I've heard that's gone has already filed for arbitration is Jake Virtanen off the Canucks. So
just another update here. Alexander Winberg from Columbus, who was bought out recently, just signed a 1-year deal at $2.25 million. That player, he's been on the decline for the last little bit, and he was actually a healthy scratch in Columbus in the Cup run. So yeah, it's a 1-year show me deal
with Florida, with Bill Zito, who was the assistant GM in Columbus before he took that job in Florida. Just before you guys move on, I'm going to quickly switch cameras here, and I'll be right back.
Okay, so while Sean is doing that, we'll continue on our conversations here. I mean, I guess for the Flames, this Markstrom 100% not signing thing is I got to be honest, making me a little bit nervous here a little bit, but
it could just be just semantics, just figuring stuff out. I just thought it without any other whispers or rumblings of any other team being involved other than Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary. And I guess there was a bit of a whisper of Detroit being actively involved with that with Stevie Y. I'm a little bit concerned, but I'm not. I still think that they get this done.
Yeah. All right. So for Flames fans, touch wood that works out for them. I guess let's keep going with the Flames. Rashawn is changing his camera here. Does that put him out of the Taylor? We talked yesterday, for those who missed, we sort of disagreed a little bit, but I was kind of thinking that Pietrangelo would be a shot for the Flames. I did kind of think that they would get one of the big three fish, and it looks like I'm kind of right there. But Taylor Hall, where are we now?
Still a possibility. If say, for instance, if it's $6.5 or $5.5 million for Markstrom and we get that done, then there's still just over $10 million left on their cap space. So it's not out of the realm of possibility for sure. And it sounds like Hall is just taking every single offer that's or he's listening to every single offer that is being I guess what I'm saying, he's not in a rush. He's willing to wait it out and see what the best situation to go into is. And I don't think that Calgary is out of that talk yet with him. I'm sure Treliving or Brad Pascal or even Craig Conroy is talking to them as either one of them is trying to figure out what's going on with Jakob Markstrom. So yeah, I still think we're in the mix on that.
Yeah. All right. Pietrangelo, that Calgary was not on the list. Apparently, according to Scott Rinchul, not Scott Rinchul directly, he was speaking to a reporter, and I can't remember the name, but the three teams were, other than St. Louis, was Vegas and Florida was on the list, but apparently Vancouver and Edmonton were long shots. So we'll have to see what happens there. It's looking to me, Vegas may end up pulling some magic if they're able to get Pietrangelo. They did trade Paul Stastny this morning before to Winnipeg. That officially happened. And we've got Sean back. Here we go.
Because as of right now, after they moved out Paul Stastny, they have $2.8 million left in their cap space. So there still needs to be a little bit of wiggle room. But I think if Vegas is going to pull this off with signing Pietrangelo, they need to obviously get rid of some cap. And I wouldn't be surprised after or if talks have already begun on trading, seeing what the market is for Marc-Andre Fleury and getting enough cap room to sign Pietrangelo and maybe even another defenseman out of the mix as well being traded.
And Nate Schmidt being in a trade, actually.
He has a no trade clause. He would have to submit 10 teams, no trade to 10 teams list. So that there's that, but every other defenseman on there is free to be traded wherever.
And why would someone take on Nate Schmidt and he's also the one right-hand one of the right defensemen that they have. I don't think Nate Schmidt's the right move. I think if they move anyone, it's going to be Alec Martinez.
Nate Schmidt. He's a left-handed.
You're right. He plays on the right. He plays on his offside. But yeah, like Nate Schmidt still has 5 years left. And are you really like? Is a team really going to let Vegas out of cap jail without like absolutely taking a premium from them? That's the issue right now. Vegas isn't willing to pay the price and actually pay the piper for taking a lot of these teams to the cleaners during the expansion draft, and now they're desperately trying to clear cap space so they can get even better. If these GMs are smart, they're gonna make sure they take Vegas to the cleaners if they're taking on any sort of cap dumps for them.
Devin's mouth just went wide. I feel like
What did Devin see?
No. I thought I saw a Markstrom signing. We're not. No, we're okay. We're good.
Right. Now, okay, Devin and I were talking about this off camera, and I'm going to bring this to the front now that Sean is here. And this is sort of an observation I have. I think Devin will back me up a little bit on this. Sometimes we look at things from our glasses, our fan base's glasses, and we see things that should make sense. For example, like Markstrom it would be a better situation for him to sign in Vancouver than sign in Calgary. We'll even look at that with Toffoli, which I still think is a possibility with Toffoli. Well, I have a theory about what may happen there. Tanev, et cetera. That should be so easy to re-sign these. And I think there was a bit of, if I could say, short-sightedness from some of the Canuck observers thinking that this would be a lot easier to do than it actually was in theory to re-sign I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting everybody to be re-signed, but I think that the eyes were like, the situation in Vancouver is much better than everywhere else, so I can't understand why you would not sign in Vancouver. And I understand that there's a fan perspective to that, but I may be a little bit misguided. Am I making sense, Devin?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Canucks currently have
Pietrangelo, like, he'll take a pay cut to play in Toronto idea from Leaf fans. But go ahead.
The Canucks currently have 7.9 million, just over 7.9 million in cap space, but that does include Baertschi and Eriksson, both on the NHL roster. And I think there's a good chance that at least one of them, if not both, get buried. So that opens up another just over $2 million in cap space. But they have Gaudette to sign, Virtanen to sign, and then they still have to fill out their blue line, the blue line. So sounds like they're circling back on Tanev, trying to keep him there, which I think is like, everyone talks about how Markstrom's first choice was to stay in Vancouver. I honestly think that Tanev like legitimately does not want to move.
I've said it for a while, and it sounds like it because we haven't heard anything about who's. And I think he just likes it there, and I think he's a good fit as long as they can still find a right shot defenseman that can be a puck mover, and it's something that can change the mix up on that blue line for them as long as if they're bringing back Tanev as well.
Oh, we do have breaking news. Wait, I've got the signature here. Let me do this.
Breaking news.
Yes, there we go. Devin, you broke it on our message. I'll give it to you.
So for Flames fans, former first-round pick Mark Jankowski is signed with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Good luck to him. I'm
Yeah,
well, obviously, I'm sad that Alan Quine left to Edmonton.
yeah.
I think that's an unfortunate thing. I think the Flames misused that Alan Quine, to be honest with you. But
I think he would have been willing to stay if he was promised more ice time. He just wasn't getting the ice time here and up in Edmonton. I'm sure that's what was the big selling point for him going north.
well, how are they going to get all of these players that they promised to play McDavid? They're going to have too many men on the ice penalties. They're all just going to jump on the ice when McDavid comes on.
Yep, it's gonna be a 21 versus 5 skaters for Edmonton every time McDavid's on the ice.
Yeah.
Looks like the more goaltending news. Hudobin staying in Dallas on a 3-year deal with 10 mil total, so 3.33. I think that's a fair deal for an aging goaltender who just carried the team to the Stanley Cup final. Like literally, if you looked at the injuries that Dallas was playing with, and Hudobin really just carried that team to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fair deal.
Dallas has got some things I still think that they can do. Kind of interested there. See what happens.
Now, sticking on the goalie front, I'm curious on what you guys think of Matt Murray's contract at 4 years for $6.25 million. Do you think that if they went to arbitration, that it would be a bigger number, considering he's a 2-time Stanley Cup winner?
It would. I think it'd be about the same, but I think if I know the arbitration, and I don't, but I'm just guessing off of all the years that's happened. I believe you're only allowed to sign it for like 1 or 2 year deals. So I think they wanted to get him locked up. So it's a 4-year deal. So it signs him until he's 30 at 6.25. And I think what they're doing there is they're gambling on, after this flat cap situation settles itself out in 2-3 years, that the cap goes significantly up after especially after the new US deal comes in, and the Seattle expansion draft, the Seattle expansion fees kick in, that we will see a significant increase, and then that 6.25 may be a steal if he's playing at least as an above average goaltender.
Yeah, well, yeah, to me, I think he's in a better. It's gonna may sound like a horrible take, but I actually think he's in a better defensive situation in Ottawa than he is in Pittsburgh. Like, that back end is what definitely potentially.
The back end that includes Erik Gudbranson and Nikita Zaitsev.
It's also going to include at some point Jake Sanderson, and that does also include Thomas Chabot.
That's down the line. I think that, like, outside of Chabot, the Ottawa's blue line isn't necessarily the best. They've got a lot of good prospects coming up, but when going into next year, let's see, the six defensemen that they have signed right now, Chabot, great, yes, stud defenseman, number one with a bullet, probably the best. I would say at this point, it's hard to say anyone else is better than him on any of the Canadian teams. Then you got Nikita Zaitsev, Erik Gudbranson, Mike Riley, Josh Brown, and Christian Rolanen, and then you've got as well as Eric Brandstrom And Branson's hasn't been able to really solidify himself as an NHL defenseman just yet, and the rest are just they're cannon fodder. That's really what they are.
Yeah, I'm talking eventually here. So I guess my point is I think there may be some struggles this year in Ottawa, but I think eventually he's going to grow back into that position and he'll be fine. He's going to grow with that team. Like I hope Sens fans are patient this year with him because I think it's going to be a bit of an adjustment. I mean, I don't, but.
And it'll be interesting to see how he trends with the Sens and how he meshes with their goalie coach as well. And I think that's something that a lot of average fans don't quite understand, and I think even some of the more knowledgeable fans do underrate as well. I think you need to have a good goaltender coach that meshes well with the style that the goalie is comfortable with. I think one of the reasons why the Canucks were able to switch gears right away and go to Holtby is that he was probably very high on Ian Clark's list.
All right, well, let's go there. The Vancouver Canucks did sign Braden Holtby, 2 years, 4-team, no trade list. I still think he's a pretty solid goaltender. I don't think he got the team he got the Capitals to the Stanley Cup. I think this is a pretty good signing overall. I don't think there's much to complain about this. The debate is going to be who you're going to protect, which would probably be Demko, but it would seem to me that this is a pretty good combination and maybe a fresh start for Holtby.
Yeah, fresh start. It's a great term. I love the 2-year term for the Canucks here. There's no movement clause, so he will be the goalie that's likely be the goalie that's exposed to this expansion draft next year. And if he plays well, then I don't know why if you're in Seattle, why you don't think about picking him there, because Stanley Cup winning goaltender can be a good mentor and all that. It looks like he's one of the first things he did after signing was ask for Thatcher Demko's phone number to talk with him and make sure that they're on the same page, which is fantastic. I love it. I think you're paying a little bit more cap wise than I think would be ideal for Holtby, who's coming off a couple rough years in Washington, but long term, I think it makes a lot of sense for the Canucks, especially if they feel like Demko is the goalie of the future, as well as they have Mikey DiPietro, who finished his first season as pro and played quite well. So I think it's a really good way to mitigate the loss of Jacob Markstrom.
I think that's a slam dunk for Jim Benning and the Vancouver Canucks signing him for only 2 years, and that cap hit. I think that's fantastic. He's had a couple of off years, but though it's coming off of a Stanley Cup win and having a defensive laden coach like Barry Trotz, and I think you could call it a risk, quote unquote, to bet on him and hope that he could be a good 1A or 1B with Demko. But I think it's a fantastic signing, good number, and like the term is everything there. He potentially, depending on how well he plays, very likely that he might be one of the goalies picked in the expansion draft with Seattle. So I think it's a fantastic move on Jim Benning's part. For once, he actually seemed kind of smart.
Yeah, with Demko there, they couldn't go long term because they already have someone that they need to make sure they don't lose in the expansion draft. And then say Holtby drastically outplays Demko next year, and they decide to protect Holtby, they still have a year to sign him long term. And I think if Markstrom does end up in Calgary, like everything's reported, I think it makes sense for him too. The Flames are in a position where they need to improve their goaltending, and are probably willing to throw the extra term out there for him. They don't have a heir apparent waiting in the wings and in the NHL yet. They aren't sold on Rittich. They've got Zagadulin and Dustin Wolf, among others, coming up through the ranks, but I think they're still 1, 2, 3 years away, depending on which way they decide to go. And then by that time, you're probably in a tandem with Markstrom at that point.
Yeah. Now, to go back to Holtby here, I just have a question here. I was just thinking about this for terms of the 2022 Olympic team for Canada. And I'm bringing this up because Holtby has always been a name that was considered as a possibility. Price would probably still be number one. Who would be your number two Canadian goaltender?
Carter Hart.
Yep, there you go.
Like in 2022, it might be Carter Hart number one.
You know, I forgot about him. I was up since 4:30, folks. So
well, it's funny because like it's that time in these marathon broadcasts that they start breaking down the next best on best Canada roster, and not only did they did that, so they've got big news for Canucks fans is they put Bo Horvat on the third line. Craig Button put Bo Horvat on the third line on his team, so it's a third line of Bo Horvat, Braden Point, and Mitch Marner.
Terrible line. God, that's amazing.
Yeah, right.
At least Canucks fans will have an opportunity to cheer for Cale Makar when he's on the Canadian Olympic team.
Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be, but yeah, no, I think in 2022, it's still far gone. There'll be other options for Canada at that point. Like, was that 2 years from now? Like I said, Carter Hart and Price are the 1-2 with a bullet, and then you can go there. Like, they've got Jordan Binnington there, and at this point, I don't know if you can. Is there another option? Are we going back to Cam Talbot, like the boys over at the Oilers YYC tried to sell Chris and I on about 3 years ago?
Cam Talbot as the Canadian Olympic goaltender.
Yeah, that's what they were trying to tell me to Chris and I. First time we ever met those guys. That was the major drunken pub argument that we got in.
That is typical Oiler talk right there. Good Lord. Nothing more Oiler than that conversation of the best, you know? And sorry, I just got a number for Mark Jankowski. It's $700,000 for 1 year.
Prove it. See what we can do. And he's from out there, isn't he? He's close to home now. So.
Yeah. I mean, I hope nothing but the best for him. He just didn't work out. I think the expectations of him being a first overall draft pick, or first round overall draft pick for Calgary back in 2012. It's been a long time coming, and hopefully he has that pressure off him. And I really do hope the best for the kid.
Yeah.
Okay, so interesting here. We finally have the contract details on Holtby as well. He's making $2.9 million next year, this upcoming season, and then $5.7 in 21-22.
Interesting.
Oh, that's it. Well, that actually makes sense, right? Because you're not going to be making a heck of a lot of money in the next couple of years. Like, it's gonna let's be honest. When fans are allowed back in stadiums, they're not exactly going to be running back into stadiums. I don't think that quickly. Financially, it's going to be tough, and I think people there's going to be some just concern about being close to strangers. It's just it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to get people back. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of that too. We're going to see a lot of lower, depending on how long the contract is, but lower cash out on these upcoming this season and next season, and then bigger money on the middle past that if you're actually going 3-4 years. But if you're only on 2, then yeah, 2.9 and 5.7 makes sense.
Just back to quickly St. Louis here. Actually, I know that everybody we've been talking about goaltending options all over the place. Would St. Louis be a place that needs a goaltender?
Well, they need a backup.
Yeah, they'll need a tandem. I don't think. You think so? Once again, it all comes down to seeing what he can actually do, because he got hot and he won a Stanley Cup, and then last year he kind of pitted out a little bit, and this year is definitely a show me year for Binnington, and he needs to step up. Otherwise, yeah, he's probably a 1B as of right now. So yeah, they got to be looking for someone else to kind of help carry the load there in St. Louis.
And then Sean, go man, you didn't.
No.
Sean, the other thing when you were changing cameras there, Taylor Hall in Calgary, are you with the Markstrom 94.33% done? Is Taylor Hall still an option for the Flames?
Maybe, depending on what the cap hit on Markstrom is. If he because I think Markstrom is wanting $6 million. If he gets $6 million, then that leaves the Flames with just over $10 million in cap space to fill out their blue line, and as well as sign Mangiapane, as well as fill out their roster. So I think it'd be tough. I think Hall ends up in somewhere else at this point if they've gone full bore on to Markstrom.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Taylor Hall as a Columbus Blue Jacket. They've been clearing cap space to try and sign somebody or make a big move, it seems like. So that'd be my guess. Or once again, Colorado's a team that's always in it too, right?
Nashville too.
Short term, I think Colorado's a perfect spot for him.
Yeah.
And Elliot Friedman was talking about how Hall is a very interesting character and could definitely see him go short term, big money somewhere to try and win a cup. And then hopefully once COVID starts, or I guess the flat cap isn't an issue anymore, then he can go sign somewhere else for, I guess, the twilight of his career, or close to it, right?
And if I'm Taylor Hall, that's what I'm doing too. He's had such like horrible luck with the 3 franchises he's been with. He goes from Edmonton, where they can't do anything, to New Jersey, where they have one run but can't do anything, then to Arizona and they fall apart. So I think he's definitely going to be very picky in terms of where he wants to go, I think it will be a 1 or 2 year deal for him, and it might even be at a more of a discount, just because depending on where he goes, because I think he's going to want to win. He's going to want to compete at the very least. He's going to want to go to a team that is almost guaranteed to be a playoff team next season.
Yeah, I think he's been in he's had a rough go of it, to be fair, for sure. So we'll see. Tyler Toffoli. Here's my theory. What I think might happen with Tyler Toffoli. I think the Canucks let him explore. I think he's going to find the best contract, and he's going to come back to Vancouver and say, "Can you match this?" If they can, they do it. If they can't, he's gone. That's sort of my theory. I still think the Canucks have a shot at Tyler Toffoli.
I think they've moved on. I think with the signing Holtby at 4.3, they still need to fill out the blue line and make some big moves on the blue line. I think they can find value to fill out that top 6 winger position elsewhere. Unless they're able to find someone to take on some cap, a Brandon Sutter, more specifically, because I don't think anyone's taking anyone else. Sutter's the only one that they can I think they might be able to find a suitor for. No one's taking on Louis Eriksson at this point, and no one's taking on Sven Baertschi at this point. Sutter's the only one. If they can find someone to take on Sutter, then yes, they might be able to come back and find the cap space for Toffoli. But I think they can find someone who fits their lineup at a cheaper rate than Toffoli is going to get.
Do you agree, Devin?
Yeah, I just don't see. It's funny how Sean really was hoping that, and obviously rightfully so. Toffoli is a great player, but for the Canucks to circle back on Toffoli, I think that there's better suitors for him. Of course, he wants to. It sounds like he would like to stay close to his wife down in LA. But I mean, money's money at the end of the day, and really just money speaks everything. So, an opportunity as well. Does he want to win another cup? Is he that competitive of a guy? To me, it looks and sounds like he is. So, I think that they're better. There probably are better suitors out there for him, and I'm sure he's gotten a couple of offers this morning.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he may not be as. I think he might be in the same bracket in terms of cap hit as Toffoli, but I think one player I think I'd like to see the Canucks take a look at for a couple of reasons is if Jenny Dadonov. He's a bit of he's a strong playmaker, can score, but also he's Russian, and they've got one of their big prospects coming in, not this season but next season will be Vasily Podkolzin, and I would love to see them show that olive branch so that he has someone that he feels comfortable talking with, and to help him make the transition over. So I think that would be a very smart move if they can get him signed to a deal that makes sense.
Another signing here. Tyler Ennis is going back to Edmonton 1 year for $1 million. And you also have on the goalie front, Keith Kincaid signing a 2-year deal with the New York Rangers.
Breaking news.
Oh, he's their third goalie now.
Breaking news.
He'll be starting in Hartford because they've got Shesterkin and Gorgiev, who are going to be their 1-2 up with the Rangers. So
yeah. And I as far as the Ennis signing goes, I think that's smart of Holland to get him back. It seemed like he was a good fit up there at Edmonton, and a good depth player that you can, if there are injuries, put him up and down the lineup. He still has some bite to, like, for as small as he is. I think he's underrated with his bite. So I think that's a great signing by Holland up in Edmonton.
Kyle Turris also signed at Edmonton.
Yep, 2 years, $3.3 million.
1.65 per. I think that's a good deal for him. He's going to play that third line center role for Edmonton, allowing them to continue to have Nugent Hopkins on the wing with whoever, whether it's McDavid or Draisaitl.
Yeah, and I think it's underrated having two guys on the same line that can take draws and win them easily enough if one is kicked out. Especially if you have an icing call. I think one of the big plays there is to give your guys a bit more time to catch their breath. Is you have the first guy get warned and then get kicked out, and then a new guy comes in. So I think to take that draw, I think that's underrated. And having Nugent Hopkins with that speed on the wing is more beneficial than having him as a third line center.
Yep. A couple of good things there. What else? The Leafs made the big first signing, not the big first signing. This wasn't to move the needle, but Wayne Simmons signed. Just a nice depth player, I guess. That grit.
Yeah, Joe, hold on. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, I just gotta switch my hats around here. Beautiful. Yeah, I think that last night we were talking about how where we're looking, or Toronto was looking for a depth player, a depth forward. Him being from Toronto, signing him on a 1-year deal, I think that's fantastic for both him and the Leafs. Gives a little bit more grit, a guy who can move up and down the lineup, maybe not too high. He's definitely not the Wayne Simmons of 2 or 3 years ago. He's slowed down a bit, but does have that grit and does still have that bite to his game that the Leafs have been looking for a long time. So I'm very, very happy to see him in the white and blue.
Yeah, it was a solid signing. It wasn't like a move the needle, but it was one of the things that the Leafs needed to do. Really.
Yeah, and on a separate point, all right. Well, Sean, you can speak on the Simmons signing, and then I'll go off on something else for the Leafs.
I think it's a good signing. I think he's got a little bit more to give than say like Kyle Clifford, who they had trying to fill that role last year. I think he can play up and down the lineup when needed. So I think it's a good signing for 1 year at 1.5. As much as I like to rag on the Leafs as much as possible, there's nothing to really rag on for that one.
Yeah, and there's rumblings that Mackenzie Weegar out of Florida is available for trade as of right now. And I'm if the rumblings are that Toronto is in on it, and if that's the case, I'm very happy to have him join the club for sure. He's a right-handed shot. He plays on the left side, and he can play. He has played on the left side as well, so he can play both sides, which is beneficial. Having that diverse ability is underrated, I think, as well. Even being a right-handed shot, because right-handed D are hard to come by as of right now, but. His numbers are really good. His defensive numbers are really good, and I think Florida's worried about the arbitration case, but not for this year, but for next year, that they might have to award him some money because he is a good underrated player. He's only 26, and that's usually when good defensemen start kind of climbing the ranks there. So hopefully they can find a good fit. It'd be obviously a trade, so be curious on who'd be going out. But I just thought I'd put that in there, as Mackenzie Weegar could be a Toronto Maple Leaf at some point, or be moving somewhere else. And I wouldn't be surprised if Tree Living or even Jim Benning would be a part of that conversation.
He would be by Calgary.
There's a couple right shot defensemen that are available. Mackenzie Weegar, I believe he's a RFA. So I believe he's looking for $3 million a season for a couple of years. And then as well as David Savard out of Columbus is apparently available for trade. And he's a solid, a big physical defensive defenseman. And he's got 1 year left at $4.25 million. And I think he'd be a good addition to all three of the teams that we follow on this podcast.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure. Shout out to Hot Take Hockey, who brought this up. I'm going to bring this up to Devin. He suggested Alex Kerfoot could be a trade option. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I think we were expecting a bit more from him, being a part of the Nazem Kadri traded with Tyson Barrie, and he's kind of fallen flat a little bit. I'd say right before his middle half of the year, or middle third of the year, he really wasn't doing too much. He seemed to be picking it up at the last third, right before the shutdown happened. So it would be, I'm interested in what we could get for him. Maybe Toronto hasn't been the best fit, but I think that having him on the trading block is good for the Leafs, and potentially getting some good assets for him, or even just a straight up trade for third line center, and maybe somebody else who just is looking for a change of scenery.
I could see Vancouver on that one, actually.
The thing with Kerfoot is I think it's going to have to be money in, money out. If we've seen anything that's been more of a trend, is it's really tough to move money out without taking anything back. And he's a $3.5 million cap hit for the next 3 years. After this year, we have he's very signing bonus heavy. So if I think that takes away some of the teams that might be willing to take him on, because you'd have to pay him. His salary this year is 2.6, and then the following 2 seasons he's owed a $1.95 million signing bonus, and he's got a very small salary. But there's a lot of teams out there right now that will probably balk at having to pay him $1.95 million before he even plays a game for them in a season. So I think it's if Kerfoot is going to move, it's going to be a player for player trade.
Yeah, it's a hockey trade for sure.
Yeah.
But it is something I think Vancouver would be interested in if they could make a hockey deal for that.
Yeah,
I just noticed, I wanted to throw this out there back to Taylor Hall. Sorry, Devin, I interrupted you there. So
No, go for it. You're good.
apparently Montreal, well, I wouldn't be surprised, but what about the idea of Taylor Hall going to Montreal?
Sean, did you have the cap hit there, or what their
they
space looks
don't
like?
have the cap room anymore after splurging on Josh Anderson.
Like,
I mean,
I like that.
I have to tell you, I'm gonna have to re-rank the Montreal Canadiens after that because I can't put them at second anymore because that was. Yeah.
4.6 million left in cap space. So I think that I just don't see how they can fit him in and where they would fit him in on their up front at this point. They'd have to move some salary out, and again, it's tough to do that right now.
Yeah, it'd be a good fit, obviously for the team, but yeah, if the money doesn't work right now, Bergevin would have to be looking for another trade here, which isn't out of the realm of possibility considering, him signing Anderson. It just seems like, it's one of those things that he won't have to deal with because potentially might not be the GM next year or the year after, depending on how well Montreal progresses in the next year or two. So it's one of those things that it doesn't seem like he's worried about the future, more worried about now and what he can do. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's another couple moves on his part. Some of them have been very questionable, but as of right now, Taylor Hall, I don't see him in for the Le Canadiens.
What was I going to say? Oh, yes, this was what I was going to say. We talked about over the playoffs, Rod Brindamore and his guns. Have you seen Marc Bergevin's guns?
Steroids does wonderful things, doesn't it?
Yeah, can you imagine? Like, they should have a shirt off or something, right?
Oh man, I remember. I don't know if he is anymore. Is he still gutting pretty good right now? Because I remember it was like 3 or 4 years ago. His press conferences, he was wearing tight shirts and he was just had that beard and that great flow, and he just looked super jacked.
Let's see if I can find a picture of him. We can share him.
I just saw this now. Marc Bergevin confirms Canadiens offered Wayne Simmons more money than Toronto. So obviously it seemed like he wanted to go home to Toronto, and he said he's a proud Torontonian. So yeah, I like I said, I'm happy to have him on the blue and white.
Here, hang on. Here, let me do the share screen. See if I can find this. Desktop. No. Desktop. My desktop's a mess. Sorry, folks.
I'll just fill some air right now. As of right now, free agent goalie still available: Mark Crawford, Corey Schneider, Anderson out of Ottawa, Howard, Grice, Dell, Mike Smith, Ryan Miller, Mike Codon, and Louis Domingue still out there for goalies.
Someone sign Louis Domingue and his baking skills.
Okay, I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna screenshot this in the Twitter message, and someone can share it. I'm having trouble on my end. I'm gonna permit you. Anyway,
another signing, Derek Grant to the Ducks. I believe he was there before. He's got 3 years at 1.5.
Yeah, Derek Grant was traded to Philadelphia at the deadline from the Ducks.
Right. There you go.
Breaking news.
Yeah. So, sorry, more things on Simmons. Simmons was offered $2 million to sign in Montreal, but turned that down and took the 1.5 for Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing too in Montreal, it's tough to play there. It's I think they expect you to speak French. They expect they have high expectation, and it's hockey, 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 and then after hockey, there's hockey, hockey, and then after you drink a bit, there's more hockey. And
Well,
even
especially
hockey.
when you're well, maybe not so much now, but if you're out and about and the team isn't playing well, those fans and those that fan base is just going to let you know how they feel, be yelling at you if you're doing bad, but if you're doing great, you get high fives, or well, maybe not anymore with COVID, but yeah, like wherever you go, you're recognized easily enough. And not saying that's going to be the same or different in Toronto, but yeah, Montreal's definitely a special place.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
yeah, it's like we're talking about comparing two of the three most ridiculous markets in the NHL and Canada, with Vancouver being the other one. So I think it's all three have their issues for players to deal with when they play there.
At least you have the Raptors as a distraction and the Blue Jays as a potential distraction, right? So
But when it's hockey season, it's hockey season, and it doesn't like they're different. I think they're for the most part they're very different. They're very different demographics and fan bases for the most part. There are some crossovers, but the Jays are summer. Like Toronto doesn't pay attention to the Jays until they're at least in some sort of playoff run in the middle of in the late summer. The Raptors and everything is just, I think it's just slightly different, and there's still a lot of media attention on these players when they go to Toronto. What's going on, Devin?
I'm going to throw this in there considering Darren Dreger just said the Toronto Maple Leafs and Golden Knights have spoken to Pietrangelo. Interesting to see who steps forward. Sean, you love that. I know that. But Tobias Rieder, hold on. Tobias Rieder is going to Buffalo. Signed a one-year, one-way deal, league minimum at $700K. So I think that's a good signing for Buffalo. I love Tobias Rieder here. I thought he played really well, and I thought he was a great playoff player. So good on Buffalo for stepping up and for Tobias Rieder. I just find it kind of weird that Buffalo is deciding to jump on. I would have thought that Tobias Rieder would have taken a bit longer to sign. That's all.
Doesn't he have a relationship with Ralph Kruger?
I would think so.
I think so. Like he might have been up there. He might have been. Well, I think Kruger coached the German team for a little bit. Yeah. I think. I could be pulling something out of my butt, but
there seemed to be a connection there. I just thought about that being a connection.
And it's this is interesting. Elliot Friedman reporting that Mark Borowitzki closing in with Nashville, so no longer going to be, I guess, the face of the franchise up there in Ottawa.
Interviewing Melnick to help calm the storm.
Yeah.
Maybe that's Matt Murray now. That's why we're paying you a little bit extra money. Is not only do you have to play goal, you need to interview Eugene Melnick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just some tricklings coming in. That's all as of right now. Jack Johnson agreed to the Rangers, 1 year, $1 million.
So it's been over an hour since we've saw the Markstrom to Calgary, and we haven't seen anything confirmed yet. Is this going to get done, or is it going to fall apart?
I mean, the longer it goes on, it doesn't look good. It could have a potential falling apart, but I don't know. I'm still optimistic that they'll get things done. I feel like Markstrom wants to be here. He's good friends with Elias Lindholm, and I could just, I don't know. It would have to go south very quick, and things would have to be very sour for it not to get done. And then I I could definitely see Stevie Y over in Detroit whispering in the agent's ear of Markstrom as well. So maybe that's give him second thoughts. But the longer it goes on, the worse that it definitely feels.
If it's still between Calgary and Edmonton, if I'm Markstrom, I'm picking Calgary because I think I don't know if the goaltending coach up in Edmonton and the situation up there is better for him than Calgary with, like I said, Lindholm and then Jordan Sigalet as your goaltending coach.
And the other thing is that Sean's buddy Kevin Woodley was on with Ryan Pinder in the 9 this morning, and I was listening to him, and he was saying that the situation in Calgary bodes better for Markstrom and his play more so than Edmonton, and it very similar to Vancouver in that the chances that Calgary gives up Markstrom is that's more of his strength. So I think that if depending on whether or not he wants to potentially win a cup, or if he just wants to go where the money is, that this would be the best spot for him, contract aside.
Yeah, and I think it's I'm just interested that like how quickly the Canucks went from no, Markstrom's not signing. We've got Holtby, and they had it announced in like 30 minutes. While this seems to be taking a lot longer. I wonder if it is like Markstrom has agreed, but he's debating on the setup and breakdown of the payment schedule and how and when he gets his big years.
Now I'm really curious on the defense right now. You have Pietrangelo still available, Tyson Barrie, Justin Schultz, Torrey Krug as kind of like your top 4 free agent signings for defense, with Sammy Vatanen mixed in there too, and of course TJ Brody. So I obviously Chris Tanev as well. So, but none of them have dropped yet. So I'm curious if they're going to be kind of like the second wave of signing, because I feel like once one of those top defensemen drop and sign with the team, that it's just gonna be a snowball effect.
Well, what we've seen so far is it's just been the goalies and then some bit pieces here and there, more than anything else. We haven't really seen because we haven't seen a Taylor Hall go and we haven't seen a Pietrangelo go, so they haven't set the top end of the market yet. And everyone's waiting for those dominoes to fall first. And with Pietrangelo basically hoping that the Vegas or Toronto can actually open up enough cap space for him, that's really holding up the defense, I think.
Yeah, totally. And it seems like it was on a non-verified account, but Hoffman to Edmonton. Insiders have said that that's a possibility still, and it's not official yet. But could you imagine that power play with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hoffman? God, that'd be friggin' just deadly.
But I'm back again. How are you going to play all these people with McDavid?
Well, I'm just saying on the power play. That power play would be absolutely ridiculous. And it was a top power play last year, and adding Hoffman to the mix, perennial 25 plus goal scorer in this league. God, it'd be unreal.
But where's the defense in Edmonton?
Yeah, and they only have 4.9 million left. So I don't see the fit for Hoffman right now.
Well, I mean, we don't see the fit for Pietrangelo in Vegas or Toronto, but those seem to be the front runners as of right now. There's got to be some sort of deals going on in the background that we don't know about. There has to be.
I think that, again, the hold up there is like teams are like, if you want me to help you sign this player, you have to give me a ransom of picks, like to make this work. And these teams aren't willing to do that right now because I think the rumor earlier a few days ago was that Vegas was trying to move Fleury. They were trying to offload half his salary to another team so that a third team so that they could move Fleury to a team for $3.5 million cap hit. Like but they were only offering a second round pick for that. Like, teams are holding to their guns and saying, if you want us to do this, you're going to have to pay us a lot.
Yeah, it definitely will be a hefty price for either Vegas or Toronto to free up some cap room there for sure.
And you can thank Kyle Dubas for that marketplace after trading away Patrick Marleau to Carolina for a first round pick for them to buy him out.
Now, listen, that's when you had to sign some big ticket players there, right? And it had to be done. It had to be done.
Yeah, it sets the market, right?
Well, it sets the market, but what are you going to do? Just hang on to Patrick Marleau and then not sign one of your top players? Like, come on, look at the full picture.
I'm not saying that it was a bad move for him to do. I'm just saying that's the market that he's set now.
Well, yeah, but you said thank you to Kyle Dubas for doing what he had to do to make sure that he was able to do what he needs to do. So there's just a negative inclination there that you have with that. But just hearing that Shattenkirk is going to go to Anaheim. So that's one of the shoes that I was talking about with the defensemen are dropping right now. No terms as of yet. That was from Elliot Friedman just seconds ago. So I'm sure there's going to be some sort of term and cap hit coming up pretty soon.
Look who! So we have a guest joining. Hello, Heidi.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh man, I got out of for anyone who's listening live, I got out of the dentist. I was at the dentist from about 10:40 to just before noon. So I basically missed everything. So I couldn't check my phone. Nobody messaged me, so I couldn't check on my watch or anything like that. So I spent the entire transit and walk back from the dentist trying to catch up on all these signings. I think I'm caught up now though.
Yes. Well, Markstrom is not officially signed with the Flames yet.
Yeah, I think that you guys, I know you guys were just talking about that. I think that's just them hammering out the details with that. But I'm happy to hear that. That's if Markstrom was going to go anywhere, I want him to go to the Flames, and I think that would have been the smartest thing for him to go.
The Flames have lost Cam Talbot to the Wild.
Very sad. I would actually have rather saw Rittich though than Talbot, in my opinion, but it is what it is. So, but happy for him. I think he signed a 3-year deal or something.
Yeah, 4.3, I think.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah, I was really surprised to see Holtby go to Vancouver though. I didn't really expect that one, but I don't know who. What's that?
Can we read something in the chat here? Let me read while that someone is eating a burger. Read here this about Markstrom. I tweeted early this morning the message that Markstrom to Calgary, what Calgary and Edmonton offered was, and did someone say tampering? Doesn't that seem a little weird that all of a sudden Holtby comes up with Vancouver there?
Yeah, don't let him defend himself as he's got a mouthful of.
That's exactly why I did that.
There was nothing that came out with actual term and details like that before the 10 o'clock Mountain start though. Cab, come on.
Yeah. Shattenkirk to Anaheim
for 3 years.
Yeah.
3.9.
I just saw that pop up, so. I figured that I can break some news. Now, as I said, I felt so left out when I picked up my phone and I had so many notifications. I didn't think I'd be at the dentist for that long, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff to catch up on.
So
Ryan Pike just tweeted, let me remind you that the contract structure is highly important in a COVID world for NHL owners. So I think that's what's really, he makes a good point there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's all that is. I don't think anybody should be worried that that deal's not getting done. I think it's just, they're just working out the details of that.
are we surprised Brody and Hamonic are still out there?
No,
No,
I think the big guys got to go first, and the teams that are probably going to sign them are in on other deals that they're trying to get done as of right now. Because you still have Taylor Hall with out there, and you got to figure out where you're going with the big boys still with Pietrangelo, Hall. And I mean, you still have I don't know, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Chris Tanev, or would you rather have Travis Hamonic?
Yeah, that's the thing with that too. Is sorry, Dev. With Hamonic, Tanev's the premier defensive defenseman available. And then offensively with Brody, you've got Krug, you've got Barry, you've got Vatanen, who are all, I would say, if not better. And we haven't talked about Pietrangelo, but like in terms of just pure offensive defensemen, Krug, Barry are better options and then Brody, and then you also have Vatanen as well. So I think there's a lot of moving pieces out there, and they're literally just waiting for one like market setting contract to really let things go.
As far as Toronto goes, Dubas is meeting with the media shortly. So that it sounds like potentially Dubas is done for as of right now with some big boys, but I'm curious to what he says.
Just looking at the Jets, they have $4 million left. They have a few people to sign, including our friend Neil Pionk needs to be signed.
Yeah, I don't see much more for Winnipeg other than potentially getting a big deal done with Laine. As far as the trade goes, their defense is set, and that's why going back to Travis Hamonic or a Chris Tanev. I don't see that they'll be in on either of those players.
Yeah. I could see Calgary in on Tanev still as a possibility. I guess if he doesn't get he's not going to get, I guess my hot take is $6 million doesn't look good if that happens though.
I still think that there's still so many players out there. Like another right shot D is Troy Stecher, right? I think that Calgary would be in on talks with him for sure, and Calgary still needs to sign 2 right shot defensemen, and Stecher might be a good pick for the Flames along with Tanev. But if you're going tier wise, yeah, Sean was saying that TJ Brody is cut from the same cloth as Vatanen, but maybe just a half a tier down from that second tier ledge. The good thing is that he's a left-handed shot playing on the right side, so he feels comfortable being on his offside, and I think that's a benefit or even a detriment depending on what your team and owner and coach covet being for the defense if they need to have a left shot on the left side and a right shot on the right side.
Yeah, well, all 3 of Calgary, Vancouver, and Toronto need to find some right shot defensemen, and I think that there's only a certain amount available right now. So as soon as we see, like we saw, Shattenkirk go, he's making just under $4 million per season on that $3.9 million for 3 years. So I think that might set the bar for like a Barry and a Vatanen and maybe a Brody. So it'll be interesting to see if that can, if we see some more of those players come off the board here.
Yeah, Matt Benning to Nashville after the Oilers did not qualify him at 2 years at $1 million.
Jim didn't get his nephew.
Nope. Depends how good of a nephew is. He's probably like, fuck, I don't want him.
Wow.
2 years at $1 million per. So for Matt Benning.
5'6" guy. It's interesting that there's a lot of these small deals happening, and we don't like, other than the goaltenders, the big fish have not landed yet.
And for the most part, it's all like, Tyler Mott signed with the Canucks on a 2-year deal at $2.225 million, which is a good deal for him. But for the most part, it's all we're seeing we're not seeing the big players in the game making big moves either, because they're waiting for the Pietrangelos, the Krugs, the Halls to figure out where they want to go, as well as they need to figure out the cap space to make it work.
Who's Devin again?
He's on his way.
No. Everyone's just dropping in and out of this
Well, yeah,
podcast now.
we've been going for a little bit here, so but yeah, I think I think literally it's going to take. I think the Shattenkirk deal may loosen some screws and get some more dominoes following here soon, because I think that really does set up a bit of a market for those the not Krug or Pietrangelo, but the Berries, the Vatanens.
What other things could we talk about while we're waiting? Or
Well, I said, it's like with those two, the Vegas and Toronto, like how are they going to open up the cap space, and who's going to give them that get out of jail free card? Like Winnipeg already did that a little bit for Vegas, so who's going to give them the get out of jail free card so that they can sign a Pietrangelo or someone else?
I was thinking, could they make a trade with each other, but they're in the same position that they want the same player?
They want the same player, and they both have little cap space, so they're not going to help each other. Other teams aren't going to help them out without telling them to give up a premium. And right now, they're not willing to. And it sounds like Dubas is basically coming out to do a little bit of a town hall to let the hordes of Toronto media know what's going on, so that they're probably have Pietrangelo on the back burner at this point, because they aren't able to find someone to take on cap for them to free up the space they need. And I bet you Vegas is struggling too, because no one's going to give them a get out of jail free card. So
I missed that. I realized, sorry guys, I realized that I actually missed that Alan Quine went to the Oilers. I'm very sad about that.
Yeah. I think that was an ice time issue. So a lot of that was that. But Buddy is back.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that. So that's good. At least we have Buddy back. But it's kind of, I know I just mentioned you guys were talking about this with Tobias Reeder, but I actually think the Flames should have kept him. But oh well.
Yeah,
I'm just curious to know who's coming up from like the AHL team or whatever to fill in some of these gaps.
let's see here. The Flames have $16.9 million in cap space. I think they're going to be close to $10 million left after this Markstrom deal gets done. So, and they still have to sign, and they still have to figure out what they're doing with their blue lines. So, and get Mangiapane signed. So it's going to be tough to be able to do that. Yeah, I think they do. I do think they do expect to see some yeah, who is going to come up? Are they going to get? Are they going to give Glenn Godden a look? Are they going to give? Are they going to have Buddy Robinson playing full time with them next year? Like they definitely need to find some ways to keep some of their prices down on some players, because right now on their forward core, the only player not making over $2 million on that's signed by the Flames right now for forwards is Dylan Dubé, because he's on his ELC.
Yeah, to Sean's point, Glenn Godden, I think they're going to give him a look. He's still, I believe he needs to be signed, but I think he's been making steps, and I really, I watched him play last year, actually with Sean and Heidi. He was playing center, and I really thought that he had a good chance to come up and potentially make a difference here last year with the Flames. But yeah, Sean's right. I mean, I think Glenn Godden can make that step. Buddy Robinson, I think he'll be a good 13th forward, and that can kind of come in and out of the lineup with his big body, his speed, his energy. He's not afraid to fight either. So having that grit is ideal, especially with a bit of a tweener, if you will. Yeah, it's safe. Okay, worst case scenario, guys. Markstrom doesn't sign with Calgary. That's not the end of the world.
It looks like that is as close to as possible as happened, just based on a tweet that has been just put in the message.
It's still not confirming it.
Not
It's
confirmed yet.
Not okay. So let's go down this road.
It's just saying things.
If the Flames do not sign Markstrom, then I think Treliving is just going to sit back, and with that $16 million that he has in cap room, and just wait and see who comes and talks to him. Potentially making a trade, potentially definitely making a trade, and seeing what else that he can do, and if he could possibly sign a Taylor Hall, or cap space is a premium right now. And if you have it, I'd wait till somebody wants to come and talk to you and see if you could possibly help another, or as much you want to help another team out, but get them to offload some money, or take a bad contract for a premium price.
Here, something to think about here. There's two things I'm thinking about here with this, back to the Reader situation. We don't know what's happening with the AHL overall. So I think that the lineups I think roster is going to be expanded a bit to even have the kind of the baseball taxi squad. And we also, I am not overly convinced we're having an 82 game season next year. I think it's more than likely that we're between 48 and 60. And I think that there will be an opportunity for some young players to play. I'm like, if you're looking at a February start and you want to get back to September, like realistically, I don't see an 82 game. I don't know how you do an 82 game season at this particular point in time.
If they can start in January, they can make it work with a compressed schedule. But the one thing is it's not even about September. It's about getting it done, getting the season done before the Summer Olympics happen next year. Yeah. That's a must, because that'll be an NBC demand, right? And NBC's got them by the short and curlies in terms of that for planning out time and everything on TV. So I think it's going to be. I think, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a full 82 game season, but no matter what, it's still going to be compressed. And one player we haven't even talked about is Tyler Johnson, who got put on waivers today. Is that something that the Flames look at?
I would if I am. If I'm Calgary, yes. I think he's. I think you can fit him at least in top 9. I think. Right-hand shot, could play the wing with Backlund. Yeah, I would look at it.
Definitely someone you want to, at least take a look at. I got to tell you, Sean, you've had 2 comments here that's make me giggle like a little schoolboy. by the grabbing they have them by the short and curlies, and you're
Yeah.
splurging everywhere.
You never matured past 12, so.
Oh man, well, I mean, with having you as an older brother, how could I?
But yeah, I do like Tyler Johnson's got 4 years left at 5 million, so it's not an easy decision because he is 30, and he's a smaller guy, so you don't know how well he's going to hold up to the rigors of everything. But if a free top six player is a free top six player.
It's true. It's true. As far as Pietrangelo goes, this was a little bit ago, but Jamie Rutherford says that Pietrangelo has been listening to offers. He's expected to go see one of his clubs on his list in the near future. So actually go and visit that the facilities and all that. So it sounds like Pietrangelo is going to be a couple of days before he makes his decision, which makes it kind of curious to see if Toronto is on his list. It sounds like potentially if Vegas is really in it, that might be one of the places that he goes and visits, considering the border issue, right?
And Florida is the other option on that one too.
Mm-hmm. Or Ottawa. I could see Ottawa running, kicking and screaming and running and kicking everyone out of the way to claim Tyler Johnson, because they need to get to the top to the cap floor still.
Yeah.
They still have over 10 million to get to the cap floor.
Wow.
The only issue with that is the term. I don't think they'd be too happy. If it was 2 years, I think they'd be all over that. But I think there's maybe a few teams willing to take a risk on taking that long term on Tyler Johnson.
Even Detroit.
Maybe Detroit, yeah.
It sounds like Stevie Y, his fingerprints are all over Tampa Bay and their winning team this year. So
Yeah.
you gotta trust what he's trying to do right now. And say for instance, if things fall through with Markstrom, I know that Detroit is waiting in the weeds just to potentially give him a good offer. And yeah, they won't be a winner next year, but they do have some good players coming up in their ranks. Phillips Zadina being one of them. So and they had a pretty good draft as well. So I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see Detroit and Steve Yzerman making some moves here.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And was it Thomas Drance tweeted out that it sounds like Markstrom's got one hell of a monster deal out of Calgary. So whatever that looks like, is that a max term deal, like a 7-year deal? Is that at over $6 million? Did he actually make that happen, or is it 7 years at like 5.5, or what? What did Markstrom manage to wrangle out of Brad Treliving?
Oh, 7 years is a long time. I would be surprised if they decide to go that term, but once again, free agency, whether it's in a COVID flat cap year or not, it still can be, you're going to be overpaying for your players that you're going to be signing, especially the big guys. So I hope that's not the case. But we'll see what comes down.
Can I ask a ridiculous question?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go for it, Kevin.
So, okay, let's say the Markstrom deal happens. You at the 7-year, whatever it is, $6 million, whatever it is. Let's just throw that scenario out. If you're as a Flames fan, after all of this with the arena, and you're asking taxpayers to pay that money for that arena, how are you feeling about that?
I don't put those two things together. I don't know.
The reason that they got all they were asking is because Edmonton got it. That's the reason they asked for it. They weren't going to pay for a full arena if Edmonton was able to get breaks from the government on that. I do think there will be people who will put 2 and 2 together though, and not like that. But I just don't. I like I said with Heidi, I don't put them together. It's like getting angry at not understanding the difference between capital investments and your annual budget on other things. They're two separate they're two separate budgetary areas.
Yeah, it's. I'm with the other two. I don't put them together. I don't think that has much to do with it, but at the same time, it kind of does. So I don't know. I was on board with getting or having taxpayers pay for the arena, because I don't know. I'm a hockey fan. I love going to games, so getting a brand new arena is on my list for sure. But yeah, I don't think that that's going to be something that people think about.
I just think that there's a couple of Twitter profiles in Calgary that will make a statement about that.
Yeah, and they'll probably not be hockey fans. Like they'll probably just be. I'm not going to throw any names out there because I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but they won't be hockey fans. Or like they're the type that only yell about the Flames, and it's got for those kind of reasons that they're not sports people. They don't really care unless it's just a reason for them to scream into the void.
Well, the reason why I'm okay with it is because it benefits me as a hockey fan, right? So yeah, people are gonna have their opinions about it, but as far as like correlating those two, you will have people, the keyboard warriors, if you will, yelling and screaming on their Twitter. So yeah, I don't know. It's to me, it's a non-issue.
I bring it up because I know that was a big PR issue in Calgary, and
it was, but at this point, I don't think if you're putting those two together, you don't understand the economics of everything, in my opinion, or you're just trying to trying to just make noise. And there's a lot of people out there that just love to make noise. So it is what it is. I think but it's also like you want if you're in Calgary, even if you're a fan of a team that's not the Flames, you kind of want them to be somewhat successful so that it's more fun when you get to go out to the pub once everyone's more comfortable doing so. We can get back to somewhat whatever the new normal will be. To watch hockey and to get into those debates and to have that fun. So it's going to be I
don't trust the source.
It's going to be I said I think it's you want them to be
no, it's confirmed.
You want them to be successful, and to be successful you have to pay pay players, and the going rate for players is millions of dollars. So
I understand. I was thinking about that today.
Confirmed. I just don't trust that.
I just wonder if people are going to ask, and I thought that was like in my head it feels like a ridiculous question, but I do.
Oh, that's a different one. Sorry, I saw that. Never mind. I was like,
I have do I hit breaking news or not?
I just found out about the Alex Petrovic signing.
And I thought it said Pietrangelo for a second. So I was like, what? I was like, who's these people tweeting this? And I was like, oh wait, I read it again. Never mind. I can't read.
Okay.
So Steve Dangle just tweeted out the Leafs. Kyle Dubas speaks that the Leafs still are allowed to do stuff. So whatever that means.
News.
Tyler, it's news. Oh man.
Apparently,
Yeah.
everybody just had made the same mistake I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all responding to it, being like, "What the fuck?"
Well, it's the same thing as the kind of the same thing with the earlier. There was a lot of people that got duped by a fake account with the Hoffman.
Yeah, and that almost broke on a radio station out here. It was like
Oh,
I tweeted.
If you are listening though, and you like if you see those,
Yeah.
report them. Like this is like report those tweets. We don't need to see them in our timelines and all that.
yeah.
Another player we can Anthony Duclair would be a fit somewhere.
I'd say be a fit on, I mean, the three teams that we normally talk about: Flames, Canucks, and Leafs. I think that he would be a fit anywhere that he goes. Really, he was playing a top 6 role last year and played very well for Ottawa. So I mean, he had a bit of a slump, goal slump. I believe he only had 3 or 4 goals within the past third of the shortened season. So he's a bit streaky, but I think that he'd be a good secondary, good second line player, or even a third line player for any one of those teams if they could fit him under the cap.
I don't see a fit for him in Vancouver just because of he's a left shot. They're pretty set down the left side and they've got enough. They need to be focusing on the blue line right now more than anything else. But if he's still available once they get that done, and he's willing to take unfortunately another shorter term deal on a lower cap hit, then he might be, if he's still available, which I don't think he will be. But I think the Canucks need to focus in on fixing that blue line right now more than anything else.
I think the Flames would be a good fit for the Flames too. I think at least top 6. You put him with I think he would work well with Backlund. I think he would work well with Bennett.
Yeah, I like him as a for the Flames for sure. Though I do think he fits well as a second, third line tweener that they can throw up there, and maybe he does click with Backlund and Tkachuk type deal.
I think one sneaky good signing, once again going back to Detroit, is Bobby Ryan at a $1 million 1-year deal. I think.
Has that been?
Yep.
Right side.
One of the first ones that got broken.
Yeah, it was the 6th one of the day. But yeah, I think that that's a great signing for Detroit. He's already made his money. Yes, he's not the first round selection that he once was. He's 33 years old, right shot. So I think he'll fit in well there and could potentially thrive because the game that he got that he came back, he popped a couple. So good signing by Steve Yzerman.
So a couple of teams that I think, another team that I think is being sneaky here too is Anaheim. I get nervous about Anaheim because
Anaheim's going to be interesting because I believe they're currently over the cap.
I'll check that. I was looking for something else first, but I'll check that.
Yeah, they're just under $1 million over the cap right now, so they've got some moves to make trade wise and everything. But they don't have anyone major to sign, so they're good in that aspect, but they still need to move some salary out.
They do have some good young players. Troy Terry, former first round pick Sonny Milano, Dan Heinen, and you got Ricard Raquel there as well. Jakob Silverberg. They can be sneaky good if they want to be, especially with you have Max Jones and Sam Steele still on their entry deals for this coming year. And as far as the forwards go, and then you have their defense of Josh Manson, Cam Fowler, Lindholm, and now Shattenkirk. So that's a good top 4.
Yep. Next year, 2021, forwards, Ovechkin, Landeskog, Nugent Hopkins, but that'll get done. Krejci.
You honestly think that the Nuge is going to get re-signed?
Yep, I do. I think Holland. I think when Holland said that this is a priority, he's going to make it like he'll make it a priority. I think they're probably close to getting it. He wouldn't have said that if they weren't close. So I think that I wouldn't be surprised if that comes sooner rather than later.
Well, his cap hit is $6 million, right?
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
So what is he going to be asking for next year? Right around the same? Maybe a bit less. I don't think he'll be asking for less.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like, and it's gonna be he has to make it a priority because it's gonna be a very tough negotiation.
That might be a situation where he takes less early and more later.
Well, the cap it's gonna still be the same though, Kev.
Yeah, but you can work.
And that's what everyone's doing right now. I just saw like on Twitter, like is it Sat Shaw saying that the Canucks have signed all three contracts the Canucks have signed have been backloaded, and they're all 2-year deals that were very backloaded. And I think that's just the way things are now. With the less actual cash that these teams have to put up right now when they don't know how much cash they're going to be able to bring in is smart business. So I don't no matter what he signs, it's going to be the same, I think, next year. Unless there's a massive change and there's a huge our new normal has a huge uptick in because it has a huge uptick in cash into these teams.
Well, he legitimately will be able to play with Connor. Like, you won't have to put the other 22 players out there. Like, he legitimately will be playing with Connor McDavid. He's got some versatility to him.
If he's available, if he gets anywhere close to UFA and sniffs that, he's gonna test it next year, I think.
Yeah, and
he'd be smart to do that.
And if I'm the Oilers, I think you have to make it a priority, because I will say this: if he's UFA, he's gone. He's one of those centers that you would, like, if I'm the Flames, I make a bitch. If I'm Vancouver, I at least ask. There's a number. Yeah, do you?
What is his number? Is he gonna make over 7? Is he gonna stick in the 6? But you still have to find a way to fill out that roster, and you still have to find a way to make that defense better and fix your goaltending. Like, there's only so much cash to go around, right? I'll be very interested. They'll have to re-sign Kyle Yamamoto next year as well. He's coming off his entry-level contract.
Yep.
Like, they do have some cash coming off with Alex Chason is coming off, Adam Larson and Chris Russell, but
how fast they want to run away from Chris Russell's contract. God.
And his no movement clause.
Yeah. Sorry?
They re-signed Chris Russell, didn't they?
Yeah, they signed him at 4x4. That's his contract right now.
This is last year, and he's last year of playing on this contract.
Yep. Sorry, I'm going to switch the conversation here a little bit. Kyle Dubas also says that they have cap flexibility. It's just a matter of how big of a splash they want to make. So it sounds like there's something brewing there.
I'll be interested to see what Pridham and Gilman have brewed up to circumvent the cap, if they're going to make a big splash like a Pietrangelo, because they don't have the LTIR loophole just yet that they used last year.
Oh, just wait.
You can trade for an injured player to create more cap space for yourself, but you can't backload a contract. That's full on cap circumvention.
And you're just looking for a fight today, Sean. God.
Yep.
I'm looking for fights. Being a pain in the ass? No.
No, never, never. Man, yeah, it's funny. You had Mark Bergevin speak with the media. You had Kyle Dubas speak with the media already. Still waiting on Cheval Dayoff because it seems like that's going to be the trend. Is it keep on coming west for next Peter Holland and then Brad Treliving, but I don't see Brad Treliving coming to the stand and talking to the media until he signed Markstrom. So I feel like that has to get done today.
It looks like, according to CBS Sports, there
No,
has
I
been.
don't believe that.
Okay.
I put that in there just to mess with
Oh,
you.
okay. I almost fell for fake news. So
It's not that it's fake news. They actually legitimately put that on their website, but it's from an hour ago.
Yeah.
Like nobody's actually reported that.
yeah,
I put the link. I don't know if the link was working, but I screenshotted it.
There's no information though that we don't already know on that.
Yeah, like there's no. So I mean, it could be.
I also like Markstrom groin.
Yeah, that was my favorite part where it said Markstrom brackets groin. Did the link actually work? Because I put it in there. Maybe I screenshotted it right before it got taken down.
No, you didn't get the link.
Oh, okay. I tried to put the link in there and then it.
But I think that's just reporting the Andy Strickland tweet that we saw like an hour ago.
Yeah. Sorry, Kevin. I will stop.
no, don't stop. I fell for
That's
it.
why I went. That's what I was saying. Oh, CBS Sports about. I'll put a I'm joking warning in next time.
This isn't. What were you?
Oh no, no, go for it. I'm working on something right now.
My instructor Brian Weeb tweeted out, "If Markstrom walked, sadly, it's the end of the Trevor Linden tree."
Yeah, the end of the Trevor Linden trade tree because Linden got traded for Bertuzzi, who got traded for Luongo, who got traded for Markstrom, and then the Matthias is gone, and now Markstrom's gone. 20 plus years of assets that the Canucks were able to keep alive.
That's pretty funny. So actually, if you take a look at the depth chart of right-handed D for the for Calgary, Alexander Yeltsin, he played 4 games last year, and I thought he played pretty decent. So he could potentially step in and be a 6th, 7th defenseman for the Flames going forward as well. So keep that in mind. He's only 24 years old. He's young. I think he's gotten used to the North American game. He's from Russia, if you couldn't tell by his last name. But that, I think that's I saw that tweet from Ryan Pike just now, and I feel like he made a good point there that they do have that option there as well, depending if he's willing to take a step this year or not.
And Alex Petrovich, not Pietrangelo, but Alex Petrovich is a right shot defenseman as well. I think he'll be given a shot to be the 670 man.
Yep.
But once again, we're still looking for a good second line right wing or right defenseman. Not saying that Yeltsin or Petrovic could be that, but just a little bit of tidbit information for everybody out there.
That's it's a good point for sure.
But Petrovic was the defenseman that Florida was desperately trying to protect in the Vegas expansion draft, so they ended up giving up Riley Smith and Jonathan Marchessault.
That's true.
And he actually has played forward as well, a little bit in Florida.
Yeah.
He is a bit older. He's 28 years old. He did he did get loaned out to the AHL, Providence Bruins from Edmonton, and didn't have a great year down there the last year. So yeah, it's a good depth signing, but yeah, we still need to solidify that right side defense.
Justin Schultz to the Capitals as per Darren Dreger on a 2-year deal.
Has he been there before?
Schultz? No, he's been with he was Edmonton and then Pittsburgh.
Right. Okay.
Justin Schultz was like one of the big college free agents because I think he was an Anaheim pick,
Yeah, he was.
and then let his rights expire and went. It was a big thing in Canucks land at that point because he's a BC boy, and they were hoping that he'd come home, but he ended up in Edmonton and then went to Pittsburgh and won some cups.
Yeah.
And all he is just a power play specialist. He wasn't even when Letang got hurt in Pittsburgh, he was still on the second power play some of the time. So that's an aging power play specialist. And do you have the terms there, Sean, or
No,
like contract
just
terms?
the only one was Dreger just tweeting that it's 2 years with the Capitals.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't think that would be more than $2 million.
Yeah.
And that's another right shot defenseman off the board.
We can wrap up for now. Do we want to maybe check back in tonight and do a recap if anything happened?
Oh, we got tomorrow. We're going live with everyone tomorrow, so we can do that.
We could do that too. Very true. So we'll be back tomorrow, recapping the big news. Talbot to the Wild, Holtby to the Canucks. Markstrom might be with the Flames. Markstrom not with the Canucks. We know that for sure. And we are back tomorrow live. How do we follow everyone?
I am Beardy Canucks 03 on Twitter.
I'm at HowToMazeballs on Twitter and everywhere on social media.
I am on Twitter at GordHowe09.
Tyler's T Noble, TNOBLE. We should get Noble Nation tomorrow. Is that our understanding?
I think so.
And we will get Schneids tomorrow, SCHNEIDZ. And I am KVOLE. Subscribe on podcast_hockey. Follow us, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. Tell your friends about us, the most underrated podcast in hockey. And we will see you all very soon. Bye for now.